Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be talking about my foundation 4 supplements that I use to help manage my fibromyalgia without medication, and I will link that video up here. These 4 supplements are CoQ10, magnesium, D-ribose, and acetyl-l Carnitine. The first one I'm going to talk about, this is the one I use. CoQ10 is a fat-soluble antioxidant that carries electrons from complexes 1 and 2 in the electron transport chain to complex 3. The electron transport chain is a sequence of electron exchange or passage, or the flow of electrons or electricity to form energy in the form of ATP, which is the energy currency of the cell. So CoQ10 would take electrons from a complex that was made in a previous cycle, like the Krebs cycle, the citric acid cycle. For example, like NADH, it would take electrons from there and it will transform NADH to NAD plus and 1 hydrogen, which will be sent across the membrane to create a proton motive force that would later be used to pump through the ATP synthase that would form the ATP. Now this is a little complicated if you're not very familiar with the electron transport chain, but from the point of view of fibromyalgia, this would mean that CoQ10 is very good at scavenging electrons or scavenging free electrons. And as you know, the free radicals are those moieties that are searching for an extra electron to share, to stabilize it. But if CoQ10 would interfere with that search and they would take that extra electron away from them, then it would negate the reason for them to need an extra electron. The second supplement is magnesium. And magnesium is important for over 300 metabolic processes in the body, but today I will only talk about 3. And those 3 pertain to fibromyalgia patients. The most bothersome symptoms, which are energy production, fatigue, brain fog, and sleeplessness, insomnia. So for the energy production part, magnesium ions help to hold the last 2 phosphate groups at the end of the ATP together so that you don't quickly lose your ATP prematurely and you won't be able to harness or produce or use all the energy properly that you have made. And ATP for somebody with fibromyalgia is very precious. Second would be the brain fog. So magnesium also acts as like a gatekeeper for specific receptors in the brain that are responsible for thinking and learning. Without magnesium, these receptors won't get shut off, and that will cause you to start being overstimulated, or this is the part where I think the overstimulation occurs for people that have fibromyalgia, or the overthinking, and which leads to the other cognitive problems. Finally, sleep. Magnesium is important for sleep and relaxation, and it is found in the melatonin production pathway. So if you're having a lot of issues with any of these 3 things, if you would include magnesium in your supplement regimen, that would be like a great addition. And the magnesium that I use are magnesium malate. This magnesium is attached to a malate, which is important in the energy production, respiration, citric acid cycle, Krebs cycle, and consequently the electron transport chain. And I also magnesium glycinate at night, because this is attached to a glycine, which is an important amino acid for relaxation and the formation of melatonin, which is a sleep hormone. The third supplement I take is D-ribose. And D-ribose is a 5-carbon sugar that holds the ATP molecule together. So D-ribose is in the middle where there are 3 phosphates and attached to 1 adenine. The D-ribose and the adenine together is called adenosine, and along with the 3 phosphate groups are triphosphate. So that's where the name comes from, adenosine triphosphate. So that is the rate limiting step in ATP production. So if you don't have enough D-ribose in your body, you're not going to be able to hold that ATP molecule together. And this is the one that I take. And finally, the last of the foundation for supplements that I take and strongly recommend is Acetyl-l Carnitine. Now, why would you want to take Acetyl-l Carnitine when your body can readily make carnitine from lysine and methionine? Well, it's the acetyl group. Some research suggests that Acetyl-l Carnitine cannot cross the blood-brain barrier. Some suggest that it does. In my case, it supports brain and nerve function, and that's why I take it. Acetyl is formed from the metabolism of fatty acids, and this is used for energy production. But fatty acids cannot enter the mitochondria, and that is where the carnitine comes in. It acts as a shuttle for the acetyl group, and that way it can enter into the mitochondria. It is then passed on to a coenzyme called coenzyme A, where it enters into the citric acid cycle. And in the citric acid cycle, it forms electron carriers that will later be used in the electron transport chain. I know that is a lot of information about these supplements, but I have put all of the links in the description below for each of these, how they work and how they are placed in the electron transport chain. So you can find those there, and then you can go ahead and read it for yourself on your own time. But for now, I will review my foundation for supplements that I take to help me with my fibromyalgia. And the first one is CoQ10. Powerful antioxidant that scavenges electrons. Next is magnesium attached to a glycine for relaxation and sleep. Magnesium malate, which is attached to a malate, which is an acidic type molecule. It is an ionic molecule, and this helps with energy production as well because the malate is used in the Krebs cycle. D-ribose, which helps in the formation of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the rate limiting step in energy production, formation of ATP. Acetyl-l Carnitine, which helps to shuttle acetyl into the mitochondria. And in this acetyl-carnitine, it is already ready to be shuttled in the mitochondria directly, and it does not have to wait for the metabolism of the fats to get shuttled in. So that's why I prefer that one also, because it's just ready to go. So dosage, how much of each of these things do I take? Before you start taking anything, please talk to your doctor and make sure that you are under medical supervision. CoQ10. When I first started taking CoQ10, I started on 200 milligrams per day in split doses. And I could tell when my body didn't need it anymore because I started feeling dizzy. So I slowly reduced the dose that I'm taking, and now I only take 30 milligrams per day. So that's a win. Magnesium. I take what is recommended for my age group, and that is about 300 to 400 milligrams per day. But I split the doses between magnesium malate and magnesium glycinate. I started out first taking 200 milligrams of magnesium per day, and that was not enough because I could still hear some ringing in my ears. I still had some jaw pain and some joint discomfort. So I went to see my doctor. She told me to increase it to 350 and 400 if I needed to, if I couldn't split the dose. But since I got this as a powder, it's easy to manage. D-ribose. When I first started taking D-ribose, I started out with 15 grams. Yes, 15 grams. And I did that for about 7 days. And then I went down to 10 grams per day for another week. And then I finally made my way to 5 grams per day. And I stayed there for a while. And then there was a worldwide issue, and then I began to feel really stressed out about it. So now I am back to 5 to 7 grams per day. On the days that I am a bit more relaxed, I just do 5. But if I exercise and I'm really pushing myself, then I just do 10. It is in a powder form, so it's easy to manage the dose. And finally, acetyl-l Carnitine. I take 250 milligrams from the start. And then, I got a little fresh because I was feeling so good, and I started taking 500, and it gave me a gigantic headache for days, even after I had stopped taking it. So I went back down to 250 milligrams, and that is my sweet spot. So because this is powder and this is powder, I usually mix the two together of what I need, and then I put that in my afternoon tea. The way I take these supplements are: in the morning I take a CoQ10. In the afternoon at lunchtime, I take a single magnesium malate, which is about 100 and something milligrams. And later around 2:30, I have some D-ribose and acetyl-l Carnitine in my afternoon tea, because that's around the time when you get that 3:30 slump. So that is how I take care of myself. Those are the doses, and those are my foundation 4. If you like this video, or you have any suggestions of things that you take that you think I should know about, please put them in the comments below. If you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And until then, take care and live well. Bye. My glasses are crooked.